Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Tempe Creek, where we talk about our winery and our vineyard operations, and we sprinkle a little bit up of our farming operations as well. If you're into the content that helps you get your own winery started, or knowing what happens behind the scenes of a really small winery and vineyard, go ahead and just make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. It would also be super cool if you smash that like button if you find any of this information useful. With all the housekeeping out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. So today we're going to talk about how much wine do you need to actually open up your winery. I really wanted to talk about this question because a lot of winery owners that I know, they always want to stockpile as much wine as possible before opening, and also while they're operating, they just want to have a lot of reserve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tell you how much wine we sold over the entire year, and we'll break it down month by month so you can see how it ramped up this year and for our first year of being in operation. A little context, guys. We are in Livingston, Texas, so I'm an hour north of Houston and an hour south of Lufkin. And if you're from Texas, you should know what those metropoli, those cities are like. They're quite sizable, especially Houston. And we're also about 20 to 30 minutes away from Huntsville, which is also a large town, small city, around 50,000 people. And the population for the general area here is somewhere between 5 and 20,000. I don't know, I hear varying numbers, but most of our traffic is local. I can definitely attest to that. And so without further ado, let's get into the numbers. The way we're gonna do this, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you how many tastings, glasses, and bottles we sold each month, and then I'll just extrapolate that into how many gallons we sold for that month. So 6 tastings equal 1 bottle, 5 glasses equal 1 bottle, and then 5 bottles equal 1 gallon. I'll keep that posted somewhere around so that you guys can see the conversion rates as we go through this. Let's go ahead and start with January. January, we had just been open up for about 2 weeks in December, and then we started off in January, basically 2 weeks old. Our very first month opening, we had 38 tastings, 20 glasses, and 42 bottles. If you do the conversion for all that, and keep in mind this is gonna be accurate but not exact. This is just to benchmark your own growth and also help you kind of plan for when you guys are gonna open. If you convert all that, it ends up being only 11 gallons for our very first month open. In February, we had 42 tastings, 34 glasses, and 60 bottles. When you convert that, that ends up being 25 gallons, so we more than doubled in 1 month. Of March of last year, COVID hit, so we kind of stalled a lot of what we were doing. But we had 17 tastings, 14 glasses, and 31 bottles, and in the end, that ended up being 8 gallons that went out that month. In April, we sold about 10 bottles of wine, and so again, that's because we were closed. Mandatory lockdown during that time, but that ended up being about 2 gallons that went out that month. In May, we got to reopen, and so things started to ramp up again, and in that month we sold 41 tastings, 16 glasses, and 72 bottles. And in the end, that ended up being 17 gallons that went out the door that month. For most of June, we were able to open up again, and we actually did pretty decently in that month. We had 56 tastings, 42 glasses, 122 bottles, and then that ended up being 28 gallons that went out the door. That July hit again, and we got shut down again, so our numbers plummeted that month. We sold 60 bottles, which converts to about 5 gallons of wine that went out that month. August, we started to ramp up back up again. We were able to open, albeit we had to become a restaurant for a little bit. In August, we started to do farmers markets to help us sell some wine because we couldn't have that much traffic in here, and we ended up selling 80 tastes. In August, we sold about 127 bottles, which ends up being 26 gallons that went out the door in August. September, around that time, we were able to open up more normally, and so we started to have more tastings in glasses at that time. But we had 25 tastings, 43 glasses, and 85 bottles, and that ended up being somewhere around 20 gallons that went out the door then. In October, we were basically normal at that point. We had 43 tastings, 130 glasses, and we ended up selling 147 bottles. If you add that all together, that ends up being 36 gallons, which today was at that point was a major month for us. We ended up almost doubling all previous months' highs. In November, we had even a better month. We ended up selling 46 tastings, 122 glasses, and 185 bottles. Again, if you convert that, that ended up being 44 gallons ended up leaving in the month of November. And then the last month of the year, December, started off really good, and then it ended up kind of slow. All our sales were at the beginning of the month. The last 2 weeks of the month, we didn't really sell that much. But this month, last month, we ended up selling 41 tastings, 96 glasses, and 127 bottles. And in total, that ends up being 31 gallons that went out the door. And if you add all those gallons together, it ends up being, if you add all that together, it ends up only being 260 gallons of wine that we sold this year. Again, COVID kind of brought us down a little bit, but you can add a little bit more to that. I feel like if you just did like 50 gallons a month, which is still a lot, more than we've ever sold even in our busiest months, you should be more than ready to open your doors. And I would err on the side of just open. No matter what you have, open. We've all been to wineries that are like super big and magnificent, and they look like castles, right? And they're making thousands of gallons. But I personally, and I'm probably sure you have as well, have been to is just a trailer in the woods, and they only have 4 wines, and as long as the atmosphere is fun, it doesn't even matter, guys. The wine is good and the atmosphere is good. That's all that really matters. And so I would err on just open, build yourself up, and you'll make it, guys. If this was useful, make sure to hit that like button. It helps me a lot and it helps my channel grow so I can bring you more content. Keep in mind, guys, after this I am going to do a lot more content on helping you fill out your helping you guys fill out your federal winery permit. If you want help with that, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'm really going to bear down and focus down on that. I'll be having every other video focus on filling out that pretty big form, big and complicated form. So make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're at it as well. Lastly, check out these other videos, and that's